Welcome back, everybody. It is a massive weekend in the EFL, a day of rivalries, goals, and big storylines. Norwich and Wrexham can't stop hitting over 2.5 goals, Cardiff chasing perfection, and Derby and Ipswich just desperate for a win, really. I've dug into the stats and put together my best angles, as we can see here, including a BTTS double, championship goals treble, and a Charlton bet builder. Interesting. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Yes, welcome back to the Predictions Show. I am your host, Joe. I am the creator, founder, designer, marketer, developer, and host of this show for OddAlerts.com. Leicester City against Birmingham City is where we will start. This is an EFL special, but don't worry and remember to subscribe to the channel because we have a Premier League predictions video coming as well. And the bulk of this video is going to be for Saturday's games, but I wanted to start with Leicester City against Birmingham City, showcasing a new update to the website. It is OddAlerts AI. It has received a bit of an update here, and if you've been using it previously, you will probably notice in the response it is just a bit better, to be honest. So we now click the AI. It was already pretty good, but why stand still when you can always update and improve things? So here we have the match context and setup. You can see how quick it was, by the way. It uses all of the data available in the stats section and, of course, the probability model as well. Leicester City host Birmingham City in the Championship. 7% of the season completed already. We are on game week 6 in the EFL. Not in the Championship, but in League 1 and League 2. And, of course, some teams, because of the Carabao Cup and the LDV Vans or whatever it's called now, they've actually played 6-7 games already. So we're getting into a decent sample size, which is why in this video we're going to be using the form guide to make our predictions for this weekend in the EFL. So Leicester City sits 7th, Birmingham City 5th. They've made a pretty good start, haven't they, Birmingham? And we can see here, if we just scroll down a little bit, Birmingham are in excellent form. 8-1-1 in terms of the last 10 games, 80% win rate, 2.5 points per game. Of course, some of those games would have been the back end of League 1, last 10 competitive games. But still, away from home, 5 wins on the bounce. We can then look at a tactical and statistical breakdown. Leicester averaging 1.2 goals per game. Leicester concede 1.3 goals per game. Can Leicester keep a clean sheet? Well, let's have a look at what the OddAlerts AI is actually suggesting here. We can scroll down. You can feel free to, read this in your own time. It is quite a nice write-up. It should take about 30 seconds to a minute to read it all. That's how it's sort of been designed. Value betting opportunities over 2.5 goals at 2.07. Birmingham, very good defensively. Leicester's games as of late, not essentially filled with goals. A couple of 1-0s in there recently, I think. Over 3.5 goals is a value play as well. Leicester have scored 2 or more in 50% of their recent games. Birmingham 60%. BTTS at 1.83 is also a value bet, 7.63% value. And we can then go down to the final recommendations here. And the primary bet over 2.5 goals at 2.07. Strong statistical backing and 13% value. Secondary bet, it says, BTTS. And then a high risk upside over 3.5 goals, 12% value. So, yeah, that is OddAlerts AI. Brand new update, which has just included a few more things. XG is now included in the bunch of metrics that it uses to calculate and generate this response. It is our own bespoke model. It's very quick, as you can see, and I hope you enjoy using it. If you do so, the Premier League video that's going to go live on this channel this weekend will be me against OddAlerts AI, so stay tuned for that. Now, let's jump to the football form guide. So we are using the football form guide, link in the description if you want to check this out and follow along with us on this video. It is a fantastic tool. And one thing that I've not actually showed on YouTube yet is that you can group leagues together. So we are looking here at the 92, which puts the Premier League with all of the EFL teams. So we can see out of all EFL and Premier League teams, Cardiff City across the last 5 games, which is what we're looking at here, only Arsenal can match them in terms of games won. What a game that is, by the way, at Anfield on Sunday. We'll cover that in the Premier League video. But Cardiff, great start. We are going to feature Cardiff in this video. So games won. Let's start, shall we, with a market that everybody loves, over 2.5 goals. So goals on the menu, let's hope so, in these 2 games. Wrexham, 5 of the last 5. This is not the last time we will come across Wrexham in the form guide. They appear near the top in a few of these sections, a few key sections as well. Norwich City, 5 of the last 5, and unfortunately for them and their fans, it's not always because they've been scoring. They lost 3-0 at home in the week to Southampton. They are out of the Carabao Cup and they'll be looking to bounce back, but it's a tricky old game away at Blackburn. It's been a mixed start to the season for Norwich. They lost the opening game at home to Millwall. They then beat Watford. They then went away to Portsmouth and got a win. Then they lost at home again to Middlesbrough, and then they lost at home once more. One thing that stands out is that they have not kept a single clean sheet yet this season. And if we just look at their away games only, a couple of 2-1 victories. Yes, one was in the Carabao Cup, but they have scored in both of their away games. Now, one thing that I noticed when I looked at this game, and this is quite bizarre, in the history of this fixture, the home team has not won a game of football in the last 9 attempts. The away side has scored in the last 15 games. And BTTS, as we can see if we scroll back up, has landed in the last 4 meetings from 2023 onwards. Will history continue to repeat itself? Let's hope so this weekend. And as we go through all of these games, just keep in mind what I'm saying, because they will all be used. All this data, we will try and, put it into a selection at the end of the video. So we'll just scan through the games. The form guide as well, by the way, it's a good tool to use as a window into the games. Because, yes, Norwich have seen over 2.5 goals in 5 out of 5 recent games, but it doesn't necessarily mean that that's the market you want to play. You might then explore the game and see that actually the thing to focus on really is that they're consistently conceding goals, okay? So one metric doesn't just tell the full story. Always dig deeper into the data with your statistical shovel. Remember to put your predictions in the comments. Every prediction that I see in there will automatically be entered into a draw to win OddAlerts Pro, which includes tools, of course, like this, but also tools like the in-play funnel, value bets, automated foul alerts, pinnacle dropping odds, player prop tools, and much, much more. Okay, let's crack on with the video. Let's jump back to games won then, and Cardiff City against Plymouth, 2 teams that have been relegated from the Championship into League One, and they're having different starts, shall we say. Cardiff absolutely flying, Plymouth not so much. Yeah, so Cardiff top of the pile in League One. They have lost 0 games, 2.6 points per game. Goal difference of just 6, which is good, but as you can see, they're scoring 1.4 goals per game. They've conceded just once, which is obviously why they're top of the league. As Fergie said, every good title is based on a good defence. Paraphrasing there, of course. Let's take a look at the results. As we can see, they have conceded 1 goal. It was on the opening day. Since then, 4 clean sheets. Plymouth were under serious pressure. Tom Cleverley was under serious pressure. And then came Blackpool to Home Park and presented a win to them. It's tricky to gauge if they are back and they will give Cardiff a good game, or whether Blackpool were just poor, because Blackpool have lost all but 1 game this season as well. So Cardiff are doing well. Who's not doing so well? Let's scroll to the bottom of this list. And as I say, it is including all EFL teams in here. So you really do get a good feel for the teams that are really struggling. And we can keep scrolling and we see that there are some teams with no wins in the last 5 games. Sheffield Wednesday, no surprise there, unfortunately, given the situation. Oldham coming back into the EFL, winless so far. Crawley Town winless. Burton. Sheffield United, winless in 5 games and giving team talks on the pitch. That never ends well, does it? How long does the manager have there realistically, because they would have been looking to bounce back to the Premier League. Peterborough United, with no victories yet, is a surprise. But the team that we're going to look at here is Derby County and Ipswich Town. Ipswich, McKenna, how long will it be until he's under serious pressure? This is a massive game. They're at home to Derby County. Let's take a little bit of a deeper look at this one. Just 2 goals have been scored by Ipswich this season. Liam Delap is no longer there. Amari Hutchinson is no longer there. They've got the cash in for those players, but as of yet, it doesn't look like they've replaced the goals. This only is one side of the story, though, because I just want to show you the games that they've played so far. They started the season away at Birmingham. That's a tricky fixture. Friday night under the lights. Birmingham's first championship game back in the championship. Always going to be tricky. And then Southampton at home. Again, they got a draw. So come the end of the season, you might look at those results against those teams and think, actually, a draw's not too bad. And then away at Preston. Also a tricky game. But they're not really scoring. They've not scored more than once in any game yet. If we look at their run across all competitions, we can see that their last victory was in April. And then before that, their last league victory came in 2024, December 2024. I think they will win this game. The bookies are in line with that. 1.6 is the best odds you'll get. And for Derby County this season, they are winless so far, but BTTS has landed in every game played so far. 1-1 away at West Brom in the Carabao Cup, 5-3 at home to Coventry, who then went on to smash QPR 7-1. Bristol City 1-1, and then Burnley away in the Carabao Cup. Again, that's a tricky game, but they did manage to score at Burnley, probably a rotated Burnley side. So for this one, BTTS actually looks promising. Will Ipswich improve? Will they be able to score more than once? Because they might need to beat this Derby County team. Next up, we're looking at goals scored, and we just mentioned them. Coventry City, only Manchester City have scored more than them across the last 5 competitive games. And half of these goals came last weekend when they smashed QPR 7-1. It was 5-0 at half-time. There's some interesting storylines maybe waiting to be written this weekend. How do QPR bounce back from that? They're playing at home, and let me tell you, those fans will demand a performance and improvement. Using the football form guide, we can also look at 0.5 goals scored, so we can see who's consistently scoring in games. We see there's a lot of teams with 5 out of 5 here, but we're going to scroll all the way down to see the other end of the coin. Who is failing to score? Northampton have failed to score in 4 of the last 5 games, and they are away from home at Leyton Orient, playoff pushing Leyton Orient. 1.78 is the best price you'll get, 1xbet, and I just wanted to show you actually, maybe a word of caution. A mixed bag so far for Leyton Orient, but certainly at home they've scored 2 goals in both games. Northampton, this is their run, and they have won the last game, of course. That is the first time that they scored in those 5 games. Here's the overall run, and of course the Carabao Cup game was included there as it is a competitive game where they did not score. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then they scored in the 5th game at home to Exeter. And interestingly as well, the previous meeting in March 2025, Northampton went to Leyton Orient and scored twice. Can they do it again? Now, jumping back to this list, we're going to scroll back to the top because I just wanted to see, out of some of these teams that have scored in 5 of the last 5, are any of them playing against each other? We've got Wrexham here. Told you that they pop up on some of these lists. So Wrexham, over 2.5 goals, 5 out of 5. They've scored in 5 out of 5. They're away at Millwall, who have scored in 4 out of 5. Derby County, who we've also just seen, have scored in 5 of their last 5 games, so Ipswich do have to be careful here. Ipswich have scored in 4 of their last 5 games without winning any. Same with Derby, they can score, but they're also going to concede if the last 5 games are anything to go by. Huddersfield Town against Barnsley is one of many rivalries, which we will see at the end of the video when we check out the probability model. They are away at Barnsley. They make the short trip to Barnsley. QPR, interestingly, have scored in 5 of their last 5 games, but of course they have been battered in a few of those games. Big performance needed from them as they host Charlton in what is a London derby. Now then, from goals scored to BTTS, let's take a look at this, and we see Fleetwood Town 5 out of 5, Liverpool 5 out of 5. We had a winning selection on our Liverpool predictions video last week for the Newcastle game, and at that moment I think they were 12 out of 15. Well, now it's 13 out of 16 in terms of BTTS. What a win, and what a goal that is for the youngster to win that game. Arsenal, though, just 1 of their last 5. They have such a good defence, don't they? But how will it fare against this Liverpool team? I saw a stat recently. I know this isn't a Premier League video, but Arsenal have not conceded more than 2 goals in over a year, which is crazy. Someone that has conceded over 2 goals for sure is Derby County, and we can see here they're popping up again. BTTS in 5 of the last 5, and for Ipswich, 4 of the last 5. I told you that Wrexham keep popping up. 5 of their last 5 games have not only seen over 2.5 goals, but they've also seen BTTS landing. The same applies for Reading. So all of these teams, 6 teams playing this weekend from the EFL and the Premier League, have seen BTTS landing in 5 of the last 5 games. How many of these will continue? Let us all know in the comments. Now then, just a few more metrics, I promise, and then we will get to our predictions, but this one is important to look at because it makes up one of my selections. Charlton have had more corners than their opponents in 5 of their last 5 competitive games, up there with City, Bournemouth, Barnet, Burton, then Ipswich down to 2. Leeds love a corner. If you watched the Championship last season and you saw some of my form guide videos last season, they were always top of this list for corners. Not sure if that'll translate to the Premier League, but we will see. Let's take a look at the Charlton game, shall we? So QPR not having the best start to the season, but it must be said, and this is why you need to wait a bit, you know, it's important to mention this at this stage, that QPR have played 2 away games, one of them away at Coventry, one of them away at Watford. Not easy games, right? Whereas Charlton have played 2 home games and 1 away game. It does make a difference, of course it does, and once everyone's played a certain amount of games, everyone's played 5, 6, 7 home games and away games, then you can start to look at, you know, patterns and trends and whatnot. I'm just going to show you all competitions. We'll take a look at the corners and we can see where they've won the most corners. So they had more corners than Cambridge. They had 13 corners against Leicester City at home to Leicester's 4. They had 6 corners away at Bristol City to Bristol City's 4. They had 4 corners to the 2 of Stevenage and 3 to 2 in the opening game against Watford. So as we can see by the results here, it looks like, certainly in the Championship, Charlton's games are quite tight. And maybe they're just looking to win those home games. This is an interesting game. They'll potentially be smelling blood here, looking to exploit what could be a very fragile QPR team. It depends what they've been working on and how the morale is after that devastating loss. I'm sure there will be changes to the lineup because 5-0 at half-time away from home, these home fans will expect something from the off as well. And Charlton, they've got some good players with Apter now signed from Blackpool on the wing. Tyrese Campbell on the other wing as well. So they will be winning some corners in this game. And as we saw on the football form guide, they have won more corners than their opponents in 5 out of 5. So just bear that in mind before we make our predictions. So just a couple of metrics and then we will jump to the predictions, I promise. Total XG per 90, we see Bristol Rovers 4.78 total XG. Now this is XG for, XG against, combined per 90, and they are away at Grimsby Town. Away at Grimsby Town. Now Grimsby Town, as I record this, Thursday morning, they're not training today, absolutely no way. They have been out on the lash last night after beating Manchester United on penalties. So they're going to have one light session on Friday, and then they've got this game on Saturday. Bristol Rovers played on Tuesday. Let's take a quick look at the data. Now, we did feature Grimsby on our predictions video last week. We looked at their amazing run, and they are still unbeaten. And now, when you add in all competitions, they've got a couple of victories, one via penalties, of course, in the Carabao Cup, and they are still unbeaten this season. You can see there, they started here, Crawley Town, 3-0, 3-3, scoring plenty of goals, but they do concede as well. And Bristol Rovers, away from home, they've lost both games, but they've scored in both games, and they played away at Fleetwood and away at Chesterfield. Not easy games at all. Chesterfield feature in a moment on this video because they are peppering in the shots. So as we'll see when we get to the predictions, I'm liking the look of BTTS for a couple of reasons. One, Bristol Rovers, they have scored, of course. The last game was 2015, so because of promotions and relegations, this is the first time they're facing each other in a while. But Grimsby, I think there will be a bit of a hangover, literally, from that immense performance against Manchester United, mentally and physically, of course. And I'm not saying they'll lose, but I think Bristol Rovers will score. Let's move on to the next section. So we will end by taking a look at shots for, and this is interesting because Manchester City, you expect it. They're playing Brighton, who are third, so the keepers will be busy in that one. But what I wanted to look at here, Plymouth and Cardiff have had the same number of shots in the last 5 games. One of them is top of the table, and the other is not, simply put, and the other has lost 4 out of 5 games. So one of these teams is certainly taking those chances a lot better than the other team. And just looking at shots on target for, I mentioned them a little moment ago, we see Chesterfield here, 31 shots. They are the highest ranked team outside of the Premier League with 31 shots on target. So actually their percentage from shots to shots on target is quite good because they didn't appear in the total shots, did they? They are. So they're 28th for total shots, 67, and what was it, 31 of them have been on target? That's a pretty good percentage, isn't it? And they're doing very well. Let's just show you the form of Chesterfield. This is how they've started League 2, a very, very good start indeed, losing to Gillingham away from home, and we can take a look at those shot markets. Total shots, we can see here plenty of shots in the games that they are involved in. 20 shots they had at home to Bristol Rovers. They are at home once more, and they had 7 against Barrow, 20 against Bristol Rovers. So you can see that actually 13 away at Harrogate, 7 away at Gillingham, that's the game that they lost, 15 away at Cheltenham Town. Yeah, they're doing pretty well this season. You would expect them to win this one, as do the bookmakers, 1.58. Right, I've seen enough. Let's put together some selections. So I put together 3 selections here. The first is a treble, as we can see at 2.31, over 1.5 goals. Southampton, I think they're just going to get better and better under Will Still. 3-0 win away at Norwich in the week. Watford haven't been terrible either, so I think there'll be goals in that game. 1.3 odds, the shortest of the treble. Ipswich against Derby, we saw the data there on the form guide. Plenty of BTTS games, and Ipswich, it is a must-win, I'm afraid, for them. Oxford, Coventry, don't know what else you need to say about Coventry. They've scored, 13 goals in 2 games or something. They were 5-0 up against QPR. Their XG isn't that high, which is crazy. They're scoring some incredible goals that really, the average player would not. So that is the first treble, an over 1.5 goals treble. Let me know what you think about this one in the comments. And of course, get your predictions in the comments. Next up is a single bet builder for the QPR Charlton game. I think this is a massive game, not for both teams necessarily, but certainly for QPR. Charlton, I think, will just continue to tick away and be hard to beat. But QPR, they're going to need to put in some kind of performance here. Both teams to score and Charlton to have more corners than QPR. 3.5. Quite like that, given the recent form, of course. Let me know what you think in the comments. And the final selection, 3.3 for a BTTS double, 1.83 for Millwall against Wrexham. We saw the data for Wrexham, over 2.5 goals, BTTS, their XG against as well, so Millwall will get chances in this game. And then Grimsby, a potential hangover from their heroics against Manchester United, a literal hangover, you know. Bristol Rovers scored in 2 out of 2 away from home. And I think 1.8 and 1.83 actually represents pretty decent value. So 3.3. Let me know what you think about those in the comments and get all of your EFL predictions in there for your chance to win OddAlerts Pro. Now, we're going to take a look at the fixture feed and I'm going to show you the probability model and just see if there's any outliers that you can spot. And then we're also going to look at some of the rivalries that are being played on Saturday. So, of course, there is a West London derby, Chelsea against Fulham. That is what the fire icon means, by the way, if you ever spot that. And then in the Championship, boring. No rivalries there. Doncaster, Rotherham, Barnsley, Huddersfield, Blackpool against Bolton. Ferocious stuff in League One on Saturday. And we can see there the probability model, 65.9% rating for Cardiff to beat Plymouth. First against 19th. Interesting, isn't it, that they've taken the same amounts of shots on target as we discovered before. Bolton with a better chance with our probability model of beating Blackpool. No surprise there. Massive game for Steve Bruce. I think if they don't put in a performance, I'm not saying they have to win, but if they are comfortably beaten and there's a lack of, you know, anything on show, I think he's going to get sacked pretty soon. Barnsley, Huddersfield could be a tight game. There is another rivalry, Barrow, Fleetwood. It's not real. Fleetwood don't really have any rivals. They consider Blackpool rivals, but they're not really. And that's it. There's a few rivalries, but in League One, those main rivalries there, pretty tasty stuff. Card markets likely not available. Player cards probably available. So yes, that has been the video. It's probably quite a long one. Sorry about that, but it is what it is. If you enjoy it, hit like, remember to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.